This program is funded in part by Arkansas Rotarians, whose motto is Service Above Self.
Welcome to Family Health Today, Arkansas's only weekly in-depth look at the medical and health issues affecting you and your family. Brought to you by Jones Television, in cooperation with our sponsors, Northwest Arkansas Newspapers, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Family Health Today, Arkansas's only weekly medical journal. I'm your host, Dr. Jeanette Neshwat. On this special edition of our show, we'll be examining a tragic problem that the state of Arkansas is facing, which is taking the lives of many of our brightest young people, the recreational abuse of prescription drugs by teenagers and young adults. Joining me now is Jones Television Special Projects producer Carolyn Long to tell us more about the shocking problem and what each one of us can do to help.
Thanks, Jeanette. You know, most of us in Arkansas really don't realize how serious this crisis is. I became enlightened recently when State Drug Director Fran Fleener asked Jones Television for some help. She needed a video product which would educate and motivate all of us in Arkansas to take just a few easy steps which will save countless lives.
It's a growing trend among junior high kids.
12 years old, 14.
They're out for a good time and they think that this is a good way and a cheap way to get it.
1 in 5 teens are using prescription drugs.
You can have a problem right in your own home and not know about it.
There's a high risk of them ODing and dying from it.
Kids are stealing the medicines from their family members and then taking them to school and selling them.
70% of the drugs that are abused are coming from our homes.
The only thing that they know that you can steal that's worth more money after you steal it is pills.
$40 for one pill.
We do have a tremendous problem.
We're seeing it because they're dying out there.
Many of these drug overdoses are occurring in younger kids.
And that's the unfortunate part of it all. They don't wake up.
They're too easy to get.
Kind of like playing Russian roulette.
Abuse by teenagers of prescription medications in Arkansas is a huge problem, and it's killing a lot of our kids.
A fact Gary Speed knows all too well. Gary's only son died of an accidental prescription drug overdose. Albert Speed's childhood was idyllic, filled with high-adventure scouting trips, rock climbing, caving, and backpacking. Impressive academics pointed to a promising future in engineering, but Albert started pulling away from the close relationship he shared with his father when he began using prescription drugs recreationally. A deadly mixture of Xanax and methadone shut down Albert's respiratory system. He was 17.
I never thought that my son, if he had a problem with drugs, he might get picked up and arrested, and that might be a black mark on his record in life. But I never comprehended the possibility of him dying of a drug overdose.
Albert Speed is the face of many bright and talented students who have died accidentally while experimenting with prescription drugs. It's not known where Albert got the drugs that killed him, but in all probability it was similar to the way recovering addict Micah Galbraith did.
First time I tried prescription drugs was probably 15. Went to her medicine cabinet and started taking some. At least from my point of view, prescription medications they're too easy to get.
Stories like Micah's and Albert's are coupled with alarming statistics. 70% of the drugs abused by teenagers are coming from our own homes. Our state leads the nation in teen pain medication abuse. Prescription drug abuse is rapidly increasing in the earlier grades and at a rate even faster than alcohol and tobacco abuse. And 1 out of 5 high school students has taken a prescription drug without it being prescribed by a physician.
kids that have so much potential, so much opportunity. And this has taken hold of the entire family's life and has resulted ultimately in their own death.
At Arkansas Children's Hospital, more and more kids are coming into the emergency room with overdoses.
13 and 14 and 15-year-olds, whereas 7 or 8 years ago it seemed like they were the older kids. So I think there's a trend here for us to see younger kids. We've kind of shifted in our society from drugs like cocaine and marijuana and heroin, drugs that you can find on the street, to where now prescription drugs are more the problem.
If there's any suspicious death, unintended death on a young person, drug overdoses, we actually do the autopsies here at the crime lab. They're out for a good time and they think that this is a good way and a cheap way to get it. Unfortunately, we're seeing it because they're dying out there.
A controlled substance is going to be any type of medication or drug that has a potential for abuse, that someone would abuse it and potentially even become addicted to it and have a dependency on that drug. Pain medicine, muscle relaxers, things along those lines. Some even seizure medications and diet medications.
John Kirtley's board oversees those who are filling prescriptions in Arkansas. He says addiction has resulted in stiffer requirements and background checks for all pharmacists and employees to discourage the lucrative business of stealing and dealing pills.
So you can work for an entire week, report in that you've got 40 hours of work times whatever your pay is, or you can steal one 500-count bottle of pills, and it may be $5,000, $10,000, or $20,000 right there in the palm of your hand at one time.
And juvenile judge Stacy Zimmerman says it is not uncommon to see adolescents selling drugs.
Kids are stealing the medicines from their family members and then taking them to school and selling them. And then the juvenile is faced with criminal charges for selling and distributing illegal drugs at school, and that's becoming a widespread problem.
All rise. Court division, circuit court is now in session. All Judge Governor Dining.
Kids who begin using prescription drugs recreationally often end up here as an adult with an addiction and criminal charges. Judge Marianne Gunn presides over one of the most successful drug courts in the nation, which combines extensive treatment and stiff consequences for those who don't work her program.
We have 25% of the current participants in drug court that are addicted to prescription drugs. And they're adults, 30 and 40 years old, that are coming into drug court addicted to Adderall, who started when they were 8 years old from the prescription from their physician, who I'm sure was treating a legitimate problem at the time, but it started that course of conduct at a very young age.
How old are you guys?
Gunn has launched her own effort to divert children from venturing down the dangerous road of drug abuse by taking her drug court into the public schools.
You have been using alcohol and marijuana since you were 12 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not a scared straight program. It's a reality program. It's true. Here's what's going to happen if you think you're having fun or hanging around with the wrong people. Here's what can happen to you. And I think that when we ask the children how many have used alcohol or smoked marijuana or used prescription drugs, all the hands go up.
2009, Benton, Arkansas. Law enforcement officials were confronted with a shocking truth. 30 kids and young adults died of prescription drug overdoses in just 1 year.
A local businessman, his business is making gravestones, came to us and said that he was tired of making gravestones for families for these kids that were abusing prescription drugs. We were used to marijuana, cocaine, methamphetamine, but we weren't used to dealing with prescription pills.
Chief Lane took action, calling together civic and church leaders, school officials, and Benton residents. They began first with a survey.
There was a lot of peer pressure at their age group to use it, and it was out there and it was available. And the other key factor that I saw in the survey was the fact that they said the reason they were getting away with it is because the police and their teachers and their parents didn't know enough about it.
The tide turned when a series of pamphlets was mass distributed throughout the city, giving pharmaceutical and street names for commonly abused drugs. Everyone in Benton was urged to secure their medications and to properly dispose of those that were no longer needed. Benton PD also installed a 24-hour secured drop box for prescription medications and organized their own successful drug take-back. Because a community stood together, things began to change in Benton.
I think the value of this program to me was the fact in 2010 that we had cut the deaths in Saline County in half.
Fran Fleener is Arkansas's drug director. She's given top priority to the problem of prescription drug abuse.
If we can just limit access to young people to prescription drugs, if about 2/3 of them report to us that they are getting them from friends and family and out of their own medicine cabinets, then we can make a difference. We can make a difference.
At the top of Fleener's to-do list was to coordinate a state prescription drug take-back campaign, which would coordinate with a national effort. She called on law enforcement, pharmacists, Rotarians, and others in the state to help. With more than 200 collection sites, Arkansas responded.
In a 4-hour period on one Saturday when the Razorbacks were playing, we took in almost 3 tons of unused and unwanted medication. Our state crime lab estimated that number at somewhere between 7 and 9 million pills in one 4-hour period.
State and local leaders are equally committed to future drug takebacks, with good reason. They allow Arkansans to get rid of unwanted medications, keeping drugs out of the hands of adolescents or others who might try to steal, sell, or misuse them. And drugs collected in the take-back are disposed of properly. Proper security and disposal are key components to the take-back. With authorities collecting and securing the drugs at their own sites around the state, Arkansas National Guardsmen then escorted and transported them. An estimated 500 barrels were loaded and trucked to Clean Harbors Environmental Services in El Dorado, which donated all incineration services. Experts say incineration is the best option for disposal of dangerous drugs. Throwing them in the trash pollutes our landfills, and flushing them pollutes our water supplies. The last Arkansas drug take-back kept an estimated 7 to 9 million pills out of our landfills and out of our clean water. We do have a problem in Arkansas, but each one of us can be part of the solution. Here's what we can do. In our communities, we can bring the problem out into the open, spread the word about prescription drug abuse in our civic clubs, church groups, schools, or youth groups. You and I can support, volunteer, and participate in prescription drug take-backs in our community or county. If there's not a take-back within our community, we can help initiate one. And if we don't yet have one, we can talk with our local officials about a 24-hour secure drug drop box. If our doctor prescribes pain medication for us or our family members, we can ask for non-narcotic, non-addictive alternatives. And in our homes, we can be intentional about hiding and securing all prescription medications. We can make sure that we properly dispose of drugs. We won't throw them into the trash or flush them. We can talk with our children and grandchildren about the deadly consequences of drug abuse, and that experimenting with prescription drugs is not only illegal, it's not safe. And you might want to thank your legislators who passed Senate Bill 345. The new law will allow Arkansas physicians and pharmacists to monitor the prescribing and dispensing of addictive drugs through a state health department database. We do have a problem, but we all can make a difference in Arkansas.
Imagine Beaver Lake. It's in our homes, our backyards, our lives. Imagine Beaver Lake and what it means in your life. Visit Beaver Water District's website at bwdh2o.org for information on what the lake and its watershed mean for us all. Beaver Lake, you drink it every day.
Hello, friends. Many of you have asked me about Credit Counseling of Arkansas. This nonprofit organization is a wonderful treasure in our community. I've recommended them for years because they really do care about their clients. Achieve your financial goals by coming in now for a free financial checkup. CCOA cares, so contact the financial health professionals at CCOA today. Your financial health will get better.
Our thanks to Jones Television's Special Projects producer, Carolyn Long, for providing us with that very informative video. As you've just seen in the video, abuse of prescription drugs is a growing problem and deadly problem. Joining us now to expound on this issue and how we can fight it is Gary Speed. As you saw in the video, Mr. Speed lost his 17-year-old son, Albert, to recreational prescription drug abuse. Since this happened, Mr. Speed has been passionately involved with the Arkansas Prescription Drug Take-Back Program and has now become a member of the Governor's Drug Task Force and has spearheaded the involvement of the Arkansas chapters of Rotary International in these programs. Also joining us to discuss the Arkansas Take-Back Program is Washington County Sheriff Tim Helder, who has become very active in bringing the program to our area. Thank you to both of you for being here today. We appreciate it. And Gary, I'm so sorry for your loss. I can't imagine how difficult that must have been for you. But you are very passionate about finding a solution for this problem.
I am. I don't want any other parent to have to undergo that trauma in their life. It's just very difficult to overcome.
And this is a preventable thing here in the state of Arkansas. You're trying to show Arkansans that this is preventable. We can stop this from happening.
It is. We need to educate the people about the dangers of keeping prescription medications in the home because that's the source of a lot of the drugs that are being abused. Also, we need to educate our teens about the dangers of using prescription drugs because they aren't safe like candy, although they may look like candy.
Right. Gary, how many drug take-back sites are there in the state of Arkansas and in our area?
Well, there are over 120 at this point. In September, we had over 200, and we're hoping to get more before Saturday. There's a lot of places in most counties where drugs can be turned in this Saturday between 10 and 2 o'clock.
Very good. And this is such an excellent program. What else is being done to increase awareness?
Well, the Rotary clubs as well as other civic groups and school groups and so forth are being offered the opportunity to get a copy of the great video that Carolyn Long and Lance Herring did here at Jones Television. There's a website, rotary6150.org, that people can visit and send us an email, and we'll get a free copy of the video to them. We're trying to get the word out through the media about the dangers of the prescription drug problem and the opportunity to dispose of these drugs properly in an environmentally safe manner.
What about at a state level? What efforts are being taken at a state level to increase awareness about this program and the problems that prescription drug abuse is for our young children and young adults?
Well, all of the media outlets within the state have been notified of the event and also encouraged to run stories or to have programs such as this to inform the public about the dangers we're talking about here, and to encourage them to get the public out to turn in these drugs because they tend to gather in your medicine cabinet. And you end up with a lot of really dangerous drugs that don't need to be there. And
clutter, so you can kill two birds with one stone.
That's right.
Get rid of the clutter and allow a better and safer environment for everyone. All right, so you have been on the Governor's Drug Task Force, I understand, and you've worked with Fran. And why is this such a big priority to her about this drug program?
Well, I think that we all share a common interest in trying to protect our children because, for example, my son was a happy, healthy, funny, and smart kid. I mean, he was the teacher's pet in most of his classes because he had a great laugh and would always crack jokes. But as time went on, as he reached those adolescent years, his personality really changed as he started using prescription drugs, and he really changed a lot.
For our parents and young viewers that are watching, do you have any advice for them?
Sure, you need to get involved with your child's activities. Both parents need to stick together. Don't be in denial, because if one parent is denying that there is a drug problem and another parent is trying to solve the problem is not going to get solved. Don't enable your child by ignoring the problem. And there really needs to be a no tolerance attitude in the home, because if a child starts using one illegal substance, it's going to be that much easier to use another. And once addiction becomes apparent in a child, it's so hard to treat addictions. And if the addiction goes on untreated, ultimately the child and the parents are faced with the child having choices of death or jail. And no parent wants their child to face that.
Absolutely. Now, Sheriff Helder, tell us about the efforts being made for this drug take-back program that's going on this Saturday in Washington County.
From 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. There'll be multiple sites throughout Washington County, Benton County, well, actually throughout the state of Arkansas, but the ones I'm familiar with, we'll probably have Washington County Sheriff's Office alone will have 3 different locations. I know that Prairie Grove, Fayetteville Police Department, Springdale, and then 3 or 4 in Benton County will be hosting these sites to receive prescription medications.
And why did these drug drop-offs have to be secured?
Well, there was an act passed in 2010 by Congress that, first of all, enabled us to take them in, but one of the requirements was it had to be law enforcement or DEA that accepted them to keep it secure.
And how are these drugs exactly disposed of? I know we saw in the video that incineration, is that how they're all disposed of?
I don't know about all, but I know that incineration is the preferred method. We gather on the major initiatives, we gather the drugs, and then we take them to DEA. Then DEA disposes of them. They contract with somebody to dispose of them. We actually have an incinerator at the Sheriff's Office that we can destroy them on site, pursuant to a court order, of course.
And what is your office doing, Sheriff, to combat drug abuse in our area?
Well, pertaining to prescription drug abuse, we certainly were, to follow up on Gary's comments, we're trying to educate the public. We're trying to meet with civic organizations, get involved with our schools. But I'd say one of the main initiatives that we're involved in is we have a drop box at the Sheriff's Office itself, and we're getting ready to install one at the Washington County Courthouse. And this makes it convenient for the public to drop these things off, and we're hopeful that if not double, that at least will increase our take back. We're averaging about 20 to 30 pounds a week drop off at the Sheriff's Office right now.
So it's not, even though you're having an event this Saturday, it's not just a once a week or once a month event. Would you say it's open, a drop box open 24/7? Anyone can go and drop off medicines at any time?
Oh, absolutely. We began doing this some time ago. This will be our 3rd official major initiative, but we've been taking in prescription drugs 24 hours a day for the last 10 months, at least at our place. And we want it to be an area of convenience where people can do this periodically. Because what we found through the major initiatives anyway, we found labels on some of the prescription bottles that are dated back 15 years.
Wow.
That people just have not had an avenue to dispose of the prescription.
Is this drug drop-off, is it only for narcotics and painkillers, or is it for any type of medication?
We'll take anything. We've just found that obviously that's what we want. are the prescribed medications, but we've received creams and different things, but we're certainly not going to tell somebody they can't drop it off. We'll dispose of it.
Right, because it's safer for the environment, as we saw in the video. Instead of flushing it down the toilet or burning it, it helps keep our water clean, huh?
That's right.
So how is the success of this program? Has it been looking good to you?
I think it's been great. Obviously, what I just said with the 20 to 30 pound average, if we can double that, that's a lot of prescription medication that we're getting off the streets.
Sure. And from your experience, are you seeing less deaths and arrests since this drug drop-off program has been instated?
I don't know that I'm prepared to say that. I think it's our hope. I think the main thing that's going to occur is that we're taking the, at least reducing accessibility of the drug and increasing education. So I think that the obvious outcome is going to be a reduction. That's our hope.
All right, and Sheriff, what do you have to say to our viewers who are watching this show about drug use?
Well, drug use, obviously, it's one of our main problems in law enforcement. We did a meth, we called it a meth study within the jail 3 years ago, and we determined that about 85% of the people that are actually incarcerated, not necessarily on meth, but on some form of controlled substance at the time that they were booked in or at the time that they committed the offense. So it's a societal problem. We've got to do something about it, and we need to become smarter about how we deal with it. So hopefully we're making some impact.
And even for those people who are addicted and admit to it, there are drug programs and detox and rehab facilities available for those who need it. For more information, there are a website that our viewers can go and get about this drug take-back program. Is that right? artakeback.org. All right, and is there a phone number or some place where they can call for more information that you're aware of?
It's on the website.
It's on the website? Okay, very good. Well, thank you so much to both of you for being here with us and sharing this important information. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's our pleasure.
You're welcome.
Hopefully this program can continue to save lives long into the future. And thank you to all of our viewers who joined us for this special edition of Family Health Today. Please don't forget to join us next week for another edition of Arkansas's only weekly medical journal. Please remember, the Arkansas Drug Take-Back event is this Saturday, April 30th. Please go to artakeback.org for more information. Now, if you have any questions about our show or suggestions for topics that you would like to see on our show, just visit our website at jonestv.org. There you will find all of our contact information. We hope to hear from you. And until then, live healthy and stay strong. I'm Dr. Jeanette Neshwat. We'll see you next time on Family Health Today.